Hey everybody, it's Rhonda with Miss BAUM Designs, and in this video, I want to talk about an update on a couple of projects that I started that I chose from the Shop My Yarn Stash video series that I did. And I chose a couple of patterns from one of my magazines that I've had for a really long time. This one in particular is from 2007. This is the magazine Knit and Style. And I chose the two patterns. I chose the Jean Nee cardigan. And then I also chose the transitional jacket. And I did some swatching, and if you recall, the swatching for the transitional jacket came out almost perfect, and I was using the Sky Scrape loops and thread yarn, and I decided to use this color for this project. And this color is called Coral. And if you look at the picture, it is almost exactly the same color. So I went ahead and started this project. I also started the Jean Nee cardigan. And I am going to actually do a tutorial on the cable for that pattern. So let's talk about that first. So this is my progress so far. I decided to use in my video, if you watched it, and if you didn't watch it, I'll put a link so that you can watch it and get caught up to where I am right now. But I have a tangled mess over here. I decided to use the Pound of Love yarn for this cardigan. And it's working out really nicely. It's coming out with the right gauge. It's looking pretty good. The only thing that I'm not real happy about this yarn is it's already starting to get a little pilly just from working with it. And it'll be okay. I'll just work through it. But this is my progress so far on the back. And you can see the cables. Now I have to confess, I did not do the cables correctly. I mean, I'm doing the cables correctly. However, I'm supposed to be doing, the cable should be going in the opposite directions. So in this cable, you can see the twist happens this way and the twist comes behind these stitches. And these two cables are exactly the same. But in the pattern, I realized later that I should be on the other cable twisting the yarn so that this side comes in the front, so that they kind of have an opposite look to them. But I decided, you know what? Nobody's going to notice. I don't think anybody's going to notice other than me. So I'm just going to keep going. This is the back. I'm just going to keep going straight up because the pattern is just a plain straight panel. I believe with a little bit of a, does it have a slight neck? I don't think it even has neck shaping. I have to look at it. I think it's just a straight back panel. Yeah. So this is the shaping. So there's not a lot of shaping. There'll just be a little bit in the front. But the back panel is just a plain rectangle, which is great when you're doing, cables. So I am going to do a tutorial on this cable in this video, so stay tuned. And if you want to see more videos like this with tutorials and updates on my progress, please give me a like and a subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you would like to see. My crochet tutorial on the scarf that I made with the leftover tied up yarn actually did quite well, and I want to thank all of you for watching and for subscribing. To be honest, this channel is in the works, being made as a post-retirement gig. So if you're inclined to like this kind of stuff and you want to see more, yeah, please give me a like and a subscribe, because I could really use all the subscribers that I can get. So thank you if you already have subscribed. Okay, continuing on. So the other project was the transitional jacket. And as I mentioned, I really liked this. And I do have this colored yarn. This is the Skyscape Scrape yarn. And I have already done, excuse my reach, I've already done the back panel, the 2 side panel, the 2 front panels, and 1 sleeve. So my goal this weekend is to have it completed and be able to show you at the end of the week, by the end of the weekend, a completed project. So this here is the back. And again, when I gauge swatched this, the swatch came out like perfect to the pattern swatch. And this has not been blocked. And I decided that I'm not going to block it until after I sew it all together. I will complete the finished project instead of blocking the pieces before I sew them. Because this is already at gauge. So I will just wash it, hand wash. This has to be hand washed and laid out flat to dry. It needs to be hand washed in cool water. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish it. I will hand wash it in cool water, and I will then block it and lay it out flat to dry. So that was the back. I have both sides completed. So you can see this is the right panel. And this, I decided to go with a size large because I wanted it to be a little bit looser, but it might be a slight bit too big, but it's okay because I'd rather have loose and then too small. But it's turning out really nicely. And that was the other panel. So the other panel is basically just the same thing in reverse. And then I did put a buttonhole on one of the panels. I believe it would be. The thing about this is I had to mark which side is the right side. So I have a little marker there. So this is the left side, and this is where I have my buttonhole. So it'll come down to about here. So that is the transitional jacket, and then I also do have one finished sleeve. The thing about this pattern is it does use a capped sleeve, and sewing this together is usually a little bit challenging for me. I tend to do drop shoulders just because it's easier to sew the sleeves in or either knit or crochet the sleeves on straight from the pieces. So this one will be a true sew together the pieces and match this up to the the armholes. So they will match up kind of like this. And that kind of gives you that, set in style that is not so bulky and baggy as a dropped sleeve, because the dropped sleeve will just come down here and drop. But this one gives you more shaping so that your seam is up here and gives you a more set in style. I've done several sweaters like that. I'm just not that good at it. It's easier to just do a drop shoulder style, but maybe someday I'll do a more in-depth video about the different shapings and sleeve styles. But for now, we're just going to go with this. So stay tuned. We're going to do a little bit of a tutorial on this cable stitch. And it's a big stitch. It requires that you put 10 full stitches on your cable needle. So I'm using this little cable needle, and it's a little challenging. So I just kind of wanted to show how I do it. It might not be a full-on tutorial, but what I'll do is I'll just kind of show when I get to a cable, when I get to the twisting on the cable, how it's done. So stay tuned for that, and then stay tuned to the end so that you can see, hopefully, a finished transitional jacket. Okay, everybody, I am here ready to show you how to do this 10 stitch cable pattern. So I've already marked off where the actual cable goes. So there are 18 stitches in here in between my markers. And if you see where it was twisted below, you can see where the stitches on this side are going behind the stitches on this side. So we're going to go ahead and just start knitting. We're going to knit up to our marker. And so we're going to start with 5 knit stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 2 purl stitches, 5 more knit stitches, a couple more purls, and then we're going to remove this stitch marker for a bit. Then we're going to put the next 10 stitches onto our cable needle, and we're going to pass them over as if to purl, which means we're going to go through the front loop. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And we're just going to hold those stitches to the back of our work, and then we're going to bring the needles that have our stitches, and we're going to work the next set of stitches here. So we got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stitches that we're going to work. So we're going to we're going to do knit stitches. So we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. Now we put 10 stitches on the back, and the reason for that was because we picked up an extra set of purl stitches. So now we're going to go ahead and put those 2 purl stitches back on this needle, which is and then we're going to continue to keep those in the back, and then we're going to work those 2 we just put back on that front needle. And this, I'm telling you, this is a little tricky because it's a little tight. We're going to purl those 2. So we just purled those 2 stitches. Now we're going to bring the cable stitches that are hanging out behind there and come back and knit those off the cable needle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 'and then the 2 purls, and then we're going to knit the last 3, and we just made our twist. And now we can remove that marker, and now we can come back and knit, or we're going to purl those next 2 stitches. And that created, you can see it, a cable. Now this gets really wonky to work because there's a lot of stitches being twisted there. And when we come back, we're just going to basically knit the knit stitches and purl the purl stitches. So let's go ahead and work the next one. I'm going to go ahead and put one of my stitch markers back, and we're going to knit, this is like the stitches in between the 2 cable panels, the 2 cables. So we're going to knit 5. Then we're going to purl 2. And now we're ready to do another cable. So we're going to do the same thing. And now here's where I was talking about earlier in this video where I messed up. what I should be doing is, after I pass the 10 onto my cable needle, is I should be holding it to the front this time. But I didn't do that. I kept holding it to the back. So normally we would pass the 10 and then hold it to the front, knit the next 8 stitches like we did before, but it would be being held in the front. And then we would pass those 2 purl stitches over and then work the rest. But we're going to keep with our pattern because we messed up, and we're going to do it to the back again. So again, we're going to put the next 10 stitches, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We're going to hold those to the back. And then we're going to knit the next 3, purl 2, knit 3, up to our marker. 1, 2, 3, purl 2, 1, 2, knit 3, okay. I'm going to remove that marker just because they get in the way right there. And now we have to put these 2 purl stitches that are hanging out on the end of this cable needle back on to our left hand needle. So there's 1, 2. And now we have to purl those. So we're going to bring our yarn to the front, and we're going to purl. And it is tricky, and it's a little tight because you're twisting so many stitches. So now we're going to work the rest of our stitches that are still on the cable needle from the cable needle. So we're going to, there should be 8 stitches here. 1, 2, 3, purl 2, 6, and I think I dropped a stitch. So there's 1, 2, I dropped a stitch in there somewhere. This is where it can be tricky. So I'm going to see if I can figure out where I dropped it. This doesn't seem like it's on the end there. It might be. See if I can find it. There it is. I'm going to try to grab that stitch. So yeah, this is where it can get really difficult and tricky for this particular. I think I grabbed it. See? Yep, there it is. See, I found it. Okay, let's put these guys back on that needle, and now we just need to knit those 3. It can be tricky, and it can be a pain if you drop a stitch. So now we're back to purling these 2. Okay, and there's our second cable. Now you don't really, it looks really messy at first, but as you work through and get some rows behind it, it will straighten itself out and start to look like this one. But that is how to do this 10 stitch cable, and I will come back and do another one here. I'm going to work the center stitch panel here. I'm going to work here, and I'll get to my next marker, and I'll come back and show you it. The good news is there's only 4. They are challenging. These are some challenging cable stitches, but I will be back. I'm going to knit through here, and I will come back and show you the last 2 cables. Okay, I am getting ready to start the 3rd cable on this back panel. So I'm going to purl these last 2 stitches here. I'm going to remove my stitch marker. I'm getting my cable needle. I'm going to pass 10 stitches onto the cable needle as if I'm going to purl. 1, 2, 3, sorry. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hold it to the back, bring our working needles together, and knit 3, 1, 2, 3, purl 2, 1, 2, knit 3, 1, 2, 3. Now I have to bring those 2 purl stitches back onto this needle. So I'm going to remove this marker. I'm going to put the 2 purl stitches that are on the end of the cable needle back on to my left-handed needle. And now I'm going to make sure I hold this back here a little bit more this time so I don't drop a stitch again like I did before. And now I have to bring the yarn to the front and I have to purl these 2. So there's purled 1 and purled 2. Now I have to go to the front of the cable needle and work these stitches. So we're going to work them from the cable needle. I'm going to do knit 3, 1, 2, 3, purl 2, knit 3, and we've done another twist. I'm going to go ahead and work through to the next cable and we'll do it one last time, and then you can see how it all looks really wonky, and it won't straighten itself out. It's going to look kind of weird until you start getting some more rows done. Move that marker. Again, we're going to move the next 10 stitches over to the stitch marker, to the cable needle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Knit 3, 1, 2, 3, purl 2, knit 3, and now we're going to put those end 2 purls back on here. And now we got to bring our yarn to the front and purl those 2 stitches. And it is tight. And you want to make sure you don't let your stitches fall off of your cable needle. Now we're going to go to the beginning of the cable needle, bring our yarn to the back, and knit 3, I would say this is not for beginners. You should already know how to do cables to learn this 10 stitch cable, and you should already know how to knit and purl and kind of do some ribbing, things like that, because knitting and combinations of knitting and purl will give you your setup rows to work these cables in the first place, and the instructions in this magazine, of course. are pretty good. Because to be honest, it's been a long time since I've done cables, and I read through it and it wasn't too bad. So, but again, I would say only try this one if you've already done some simple, maybe 6-stitch cables where you only have 6 stitches that you were, twisting. This one is this one's big. So again, let's take a look at this. There's 18 stitches in this cable. And so you can see there's 2 rows of 3 on each side. So there's purl stitches in there. So that would be your setup row. So when you're doing your setup rows, you can see where it's starting to make your twist. And so, yeah, this is a pretty big cable. And as I mentioned before, I am doing it wrong. I should have passed this one to the front so that they looked opposite from one another. But I think it still looks pretty good, and I'm happy with it, and I'm going to keep working on this. And I hope that helped. If anybody is interested in making this kind of cable or understanding how it works exactly, let me know. I'd be happy to do a basic tutorial on some cabling and knitting, as well as maybe do a knit and crochet cable tutorial where you can see how it looks both in crochet and in knit. We could do like a simple 6-stitch cable where you just have 3 stitches crossing over one another. So you can see this is what it's doing, right? It's crossing like that. So, and the only way to do it is to put your stitches on the cable needle and work them from the cable needle. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I don't know if anybody's interested in making this kind of cable, but if you are, there was a little quick how-to. Hey everybody, I am back, and the transitional jacket is complete. This is it. This is a size large. I think I should have made a medium or maybe even possibly a small because it is pretty big on me. But it is to gauge. I did swatch this. I did a gauge swatch. I have not blocked it yet though. So I will hand wash it and lay it out flat to dry and block it to the measurements. But this is the picture. So there you have it. The only thing that I did not do that is different from the pattern is I did not put in side shaping. I just made it straight. So, and that might have made it more fitted to look more like that jacket, the actual jacket, but I like it without the side fitting. The other thing I did not do was the ruffles on the sleeves. I did do a ruffle. It's just not per the pattern. I was actually afraid I was going to run out of yarn, but I didn't. And I probably could have had enough to do more of the sleeve ruffle because her ruffle on her pattern comes out quite a bit more. It's quite a bit longer. You can see it there. I didn't like that. I didn't want it covering my hands that much. So, and I just liked a little bit. I didn't like it as big as she has it in the pattern. So, and I did a different stitch. All I did was a round of single crochets, and then I did a round of V stitches. So a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in each stitch, and that created this little tiny, much smaller ruffle, less of a ruffle than what she has on this jacket. But that's the transitional jacket, and I do like it. It's pretty warm and cozy, so it would be great for fall. Now, I did do this. Let's see if you can see this closer. If you can see, the border here is it's called the claw stitch. So basically it's a single crochet backwards where you just go backwards as you're crocheting and you kind of crochet backwards. That could be another tutorial down the road. The other thing is it does have set in sleeves. So as you can see, normally when you would do a drop shoulder, you don't have this sleeve shaping in here for the armhole. And this would be straight, and your sleeve would be straight. So it would be more like this as a drop. But this is more curved in, and it had the cap shoulders as I showed earlier. And this was challenging to sew in. No lie, I do not like sewing in set-in sleeves. It is a challenge because you got to stretch and pull the sleeve to get it to fit the armhole, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But it turns out nice, and I do like the way it fits, and I do like the way this looks as opposed to always having a drop shoulder. So although drop shoulders seem to be pretty popular, it's the style, it's more of a baggy fit, stuff like that. Let's talk about the yarn. Now, this yarn, I would not recommend it normally. I think it's okay for this. It turned out okay, but I had problems with this yarn. This yarn in particular is very sticky. And this is what it's called again. This is still the ball band. It's the loops and thread, and it's called Skyscape. I think I was saying Skyscrape earlier, but it's Skyscape in the color coral. I do have a little bit left. Let me grab it real quick. This is literally all I have left out of the 5 balls. So I could have made the sleeves, with more of a ruffle like the pattern said. I would have had enough. At first, when I was doing my gauge swatch, I thought maybe I'd be playing yarn chicken, and I knew at the time when I was going to make this that I probably wouldn't do the sleeves in the same way. But I did do a little bit of the ruffle, like I said. But this yarn, like I said, is not the most friendly yarn. It's very sticky. It sticks on itself a lot. So pulling it out is kind of difficult. This is one of those yarns that, first of all, unless you're going to commit to your project, do not weave in your ends, because it sticks to itself so much that weaving in when you weave in the ends, they are not coming out, because this yarn is very sticky to itself. And it's not let me see what it's made from. It is 78% acrylic, 22% nylon. So it's just the way it's spun. It's just I just call it sticky. It sticks to itself. It's hard to rip out. It can get knotted. So this yarn, when I bought it at Michael's on clearance, and I think it was just like less than $5 a ball. So it took almost all 5 balls. So what are we looking about? Maybe $25 to make this? Not bad, right? And it didn't really take that long. The stitches came together pretty quickly. It didn't take that long. So the transitional jacket is complete. And that's going to do it for this video. I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I wouldn't really call it a full-on tutorial. And if you're interested in some other tutorials, maybe a little bit more beginner-friendly, I'd be happy to do some of those. But just let me know in the comment. I could do some basic cables. I could do the claw stitch on the border here. I could do a video about drop sleeves versus or drop shoulder sleeves versus set-in sleeves, things like that, if you're interested in those types of videos about construction of garments. What else? I think that's going to mostly do it. Thanks again for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this, and give me a like, give me a subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see as we continue this journey. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.